Welcome to today's episode of the People Strategy Forum, where we dive deep into the currents of visionary leadership with Dr. Oleg Konovalov. Oleg is renowned as a Da Vinci of visionary leadership. And he brings a wealth of experience in guiding organizations through transformative strategic planning and execution. So his profound insights into organizational dynamics in leadership has established him as a luminary in the field. So today we're going to explore his unique lessons from the Fisherman's Path to Leadership, drawing parallels between the tranquility of nature, and we all know that nature can also be quite chaotic as well, and how that applies to leadership. So Oleg's approach is not only reshapes how we view leadership, but also offers practical strategies for nurturing a thriving corporate culture. So join us as Oleg shares how the principles of nature can lead to a robust leadership practices that are not only sustainable, but also convince our leaders to do their best work and our people to do their best work. So get ready for a transformative leadership style and to get those great learnings from Oleg Konovalov and how he brings this to the table. So welcome, Oleg.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you for inviting to your great show. I love it.
And then, and I know that we're just going through one of your books today, but that you're an avid writer, and there's many books that you have that are out in the marketplace, and we can talk a little bit more about that. But right now, I would just love to kind of dive into just getting to know a little bit more about who you are and how your experiences have brought you to help the leaders that you have today.
My role is very simple, is to find the grand solutions to grand problems. Therefore, my key area is vision and visionary leadership, because I'm not a philosopher to dig into the past or historian. My aim and my role is to help people to create the future, prosperous future, to be successful and leave a legacy. Therefore, it's not, therefore I'm playing those big phenomena.
Yeah.
That's quite important. And you mentioned that today's conversation is about nature. What is greater than us? Nature.
Yes.
What we could learn from nature.
Right. So Oleg, tell us about how you started out. How did you become I know you're a leadership coach and you help leaders develop and so forth, but where did it all start? I mean, you wrote the Fisherman's Path to Leadership based on your experiences on a trawler. Is that correct?
Yeah, trawler. I spent a bit of time when I was much younger on a deep sea trawlers, Scottish trawlers in the North Atlantic. So I know the taste of a salty water, right? I love salmon fly fishing, Atlantic salmon, and I've been fishing in Russia, Norway, Scotland, Iceland. I love chasing large fish. What's the point to chase the small fish?
Right.
No fight, no fun. But actually, it's not about wrestling with a monster. It's all about growing within.
Yes.
And this is a very interesting journey, because you see, I have started all this as a second engineer on a deep sea trawlers, and now I'm just like one of the top coaches, one of the top experts, for instance, on vision.
Mm-hmm.
It's always a question: what can I do better?
Yeah.
Right? Because the world is changing so fast that you can't win tomorrow using today's mindset.
Right.
And fishing is a great example. You can't catch a fish today in the same way as you've been doing it like last season. Mm-hmm. You must rethink all the time your approach, because nature is developing.
Yes.
and with and therefore we must think differently all the time. You need to be a part of it. You are not a spectator, you're not a visitor, you must be a part of it.
Right.
And therefore you must think differently in the way that nature evolves. You must be better.
One of the stories, Oleg, that you shared is you were talking about the concept of fly fishing, and
Mhm.
also thinking about the fly that you're using, and so a lot of times when you're buying a fly at a fly shop, or even you're tying your own, you're looking down upon the fly, and you're framing it, the colors, and how big it is and so forth. But what we in your book you point out, but the thing that we need to realize is that the fish look at the fly from the bottom up.
And this is we know so little about because we're using our imagination. You see it's colorful, you see it's nice feather in it, just like, oh, it's so juicy, wow, it should be perfectly brilliant. And I learned from these old, guys who, I don't know, they probably could stick a finger in the water, they will grab a fish. You know, I learned from them, and it was very simple. One of these guys came and looked at my flies. Oh, brilliant. How much time have you spent tying those flies? And I thought he's praising me. I said, oh man, I just like put in okay. And it took just like a few fish out of it. He made it fairly ugly to say, now you will catch a fish. Right? Because the way you must think in a way the fish thinks. In real practice and real business, think how many startups or businesses they're coming with some kind of a brilliant ideas and they say, oh, people would love it. Did you talk to people? No, but they would love it. It won't work. It's never work because, hey, people have own opinion, but here is only the difference.
Yes.
I can't ask a fish, just like make to run a survey. Hey, would you love that fly or that fly? No chance for response. Where you could talk to people.
Yes.
How many senior leaders do you know that talk to customers or to clients in a way what they really need? They're trying to push their solutions forward, and it meets resistance. It doesn't work. You can't create a new market with something that people don't want to accept. It's
Yes, we
always a
face.
stimulus. We talk about stimulus,
Mhm.
oh, we must offer something great for people. A simple example, if I would tell my son, ice cream, little son, he will jump immediately. So even I would just like it would be already yes. It's a matter of response. And what we usually do in business, we offer a stimulus without listening to a response.
Right.
It's not
Yeah.
about what kind of fly I would offer, which I see is a great stimulus. It's about a response from a fish.
Right. And one thing that I know that Howard does a lot is he helps clients, find the right type of system that will work for their situation. And so I think that Howard, I think what are some of the complications that you see when you're trying to find the right solution, kind of like where Oleg is trying to find the right fly for the situation.
I think you got to go in with an open mind and not rush to finding the solution that you think is best for them, and really digging in and looking at what are the issues that the client is facing, what are the problems, what are they hoping to achieve, really spending that upfront time hearing from them, and really actively listening, and then proposing some solutions that might work best. But if you go in with saying, oh, I have the answer right off the bat, it's like, you know, they're not looking for that. They're looking for something that's going to be customized to them, and really solve their problems and make their lives easier, because that's what they're facing. That's what they're dealing with.
Hmm.
Howard, I totally agree with you. you see, like 20, 30 years ago, people were fairly well accepting something that you could offer them off a shelf.
Right.
Today, people are looking for something that is more tailored to them.
Hmm.
And it's not just only about IT solutions
Hmm.
or software, whatever. They want something that would tailor their specific needs.
Hmm.
We're becoming more sophisticated as clients. And therefore, it's the same. If you're not offering that sophisticated fly, you wouldn't get that client on the hook.
Right.
We're talking about smart businesses,
Hmm.
and we know about smartness of our clients, but we're still not connecting them together.
Right.
Right.
One thing that you mentioned in your book as well, there, Oleg, is you shared a story about where you went to a beautiful location. You were fishing on a stream, and then somebody came along and said, "This is great that you're fishing here, but you're not going to catch anything for a few months." Can you tell us about that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. I had this phenomenal. I decided that I am the smartest. It was the very beginning of a season, and the fish was just coming into the river. So you could catch a fish at at the mouth of a river, but still not at the top end of this river. But I thought, okay, I will be the smartest. I will go upstream, where there's no one in yet. I will be casting, and I will get the largest fish without anyone troubling me. And a fish inspector was walking around, and he's just like, "Man, do you have a license?" Well, yes, of course. Just like, okay, don't worry. I'm not checking on idiots, you know.
Oh, no.
And I said, "What's wrong?" And I was just at the beginning of my experience. I said, "Look, man, it will take about another 3, 4 weeks before the fish would be here. You're too early, so all looks phenomenal, all looks beautiful, but no fish in here yet. In fact, we are really often about to jump a gun,
Hmm.
and saying, hey, it's a new market or something like that. In my life, I have created quite a few markets in different industries.
Yeah.
And the last market which I have created is a visionary leadership coaching. It's never been created before. So if you have one client, it's not a market yet. You must create a market. Now I could say, yes, there is a market because I have trained people from more than 40 countries and they're training more leaders in their countries, from the US to Malaysia and from Brazil to Japan. This is a market. Therefore, you must be very conscious about, is it really a ground? Is it really a market? What you're doing, or you are still casting to exercise your fly fishing techniques.
Yes.
But you could imagine, beginning of the season is always cold, and it's not like sun shining. You're not about to have a sun bath. No, 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 no. It's cold, windy, rough. So when I came back to my car, I was just fairly exhausted, with empty bag, disappointed, but with a great lesson.
Yes, and I think Sumit. I mean, one thing that I know that, and why I love working with Sumit is because he understands the local markets in different parts of the world and the
Oh,
cultures and so forth. And so the and I think that that's part of the lesson. I mean, if we tap into some of those local resources, those experts that are local, that know the streams, that know the how business is done there, then we can avoid some of those errors, right? So, what would you say about that, Sumit? Understanding your local market.
I think it definitely helps to have a good blend of somebody who's local and somebody who's not local because um, it's easier to break the biases and look beyond the obvious when you've got somebody who's not from the same geography or not from the same place. But at the same time, it's also important to quickly understand the culture, how things work, and it just helps you get off the ground faster. So, one of the examples I was thinking of was a project I did in Mongolia where we had people from all over the world, and this was, I mean, we were struggling to make head or tail of the culture and why people weren't following rules and not really sticking to the defined processes. So folks from the US and from Europe were very, very frustrated with this kind of working environment. And being from Asia, I know rules are meant to be broken. Oops, didn't mean to say that on the record, but um, but that's how Asians are wired. So the idea was to show them what can potentially go wrong and what are the consequences of breaking rules, and that's when people started getting the real picture. So it was easy. It became easier to influence them, not simply by saying this is a rule, it exists, so you should follow it. But what can go wrong, what has gone wrong in the past, um, that kind of got the message across. So there's a cultural.
Brilliant, Sumit, brilliant point. Thank you for sharing. You see, I recall a very interesting story actually from business many years ago, uh, when Poland got rid of this communist style and they became more of a democracy.
Hmm.
And the foreign businesses, Western businesses, start flowing in. You know, this famous shampoo, Head and Shoulders.
Yes.
What they did, they immediately put it on a TV as an advert, and people stopped buying it immediately because in their mentality, from which they got from the communist time, everything that's on TV is crap,
Oh,
right? But what you're saying, Sumit, and I'm echoing it, this locals knows how to find the shorter way to the local resources, right? Whether following the rules or breaking the rules doesn't matter. They're saying, hey, this is the shortest route. Because when you're coming to some kind of a new area, a new country, you don't know how to play the game. And they know. Might be some kind of a specific word, or might be some kind of a specific reference, or maybe just like approach it from a different angle, adjust your offer. But you need those people in all cases, even when you talk from stages. It's a normal good practice for every speaker. You're starting, you're saying like in local language, good morning or salam alaikum or whatever, just like you're saying something because you're trying to get connected to their minds, subconscious minds. Because why? You're trying to find the shorter way to their hearts.
yes. Hmm.
And
one of
again,
go ahead.
it's think for locals, it took generations to accumulate that knowledge. For instance, whether it's about fishing in a specific river or doing a business in this country, and you're coming with your rules and saying, hey, it would work my way. No,
Right.
no, you need to get to the essence.
Absolutely. In fact, your point about the TV advert, it brings to mind another story, which I'm not sure if it's true or not, but a large soft drink brand which was launching in the Middle East, they had a print campaign which was that there's a man who's kind of dying of thirst or really low on energy in the desert. The second panel is the person takes a drink, takes a sip of the soft drink, and the third one, he's running around. So apparently, when they launched it, their sales completely went down the drain and they got destroyed. So then somebody came in and told them that you're looking at this from left to right. In the Middle East, people are reading from right to left. So your messaging is the person was fine, they drank your product, and now they're close to dying. So
Yes.
I don't know if it's true or not. I think probably not, but
But the logic is there, yes,
Yes.
because
absolutely.
the approach is a bit different, and it's nothing wrong. It's just a matter for you, for instance, for me, and I do a lot of work like in different countries, how it works locally.
Mhm.
What
Right.
gets, how it could get under their skin.
You know, the other thing is when a lot of times when I'm working with a client and we're talking about pay because I'm a compensation consultant on my day job.
Yeah.
And so what happens is that they'll say, you know, hey, we want to do exactly what Google is doing, or what Amazon is doing, or this brand or that brand, and don't realize that, you know, that might not be the best situation in their situation, or appropriate for them. Now, one thing that you were telling me, or in your book, I was reading a story that resonated with me about, you know, when you started fly fishing, you got all your brand new gear, and you showed up, and then, you know, a local that came in to kind of that kind of showed you up a bit. Can you tell us about that story there?
Actually, I had quite a few of same lesson or similar style lessons, which I have learned from people who just, first of all, you see, it's not about what I have in my hands. It's about how I could think like a fish.
Yeah.
And the large corporations, they in position where they are, well, more or less they're forced to put everything in some kind of a uniform algorithm.
Hmm.
Because for them, like, it's more than 1 million people works for Amazon, right? It's a huge, and therefore they must think like a little country in the way how to satisfy every citizen. But if you work like 1,000 people company, you could find more tailored solution which works better for your people. It's one way. And I think every bureaucratic system which is fairly good for Amazon or Google is fairly complicated. And simplicity is very, very important in this sense. If you could make it as simple as possible in your organization, in your business, you will be more effective. What's the point to bring a bureaucratic, complicated system into a small business or medium sized business? It will ruin a company.
Hmm.
It would make people feel being strangers because they are not treated as they are. And it's not about how expensive is your tackle. It's about how you could masterfully use it.
Yes.
And if it's complicated, something like you got it from as a model from a large company, you need years to be masterful at it. You don't have
Right.
those years. You have days. Therefore, you can't manage it.
So the best is knowing what will work in your particular situation, and not trying to be swayed by the bells and whistles, the elaborate
No.
pieces that just add to the administration and expense.
Sam, there is no chance to bring a deep sea trawler into a shallow river to catch one fish. No
Right.
chance. Right? Therefore, you must see what works in this specific situation. If someone is good at, I don't know, using a system which is appropriate for Microsoft or for whatever the large company,
Yeah.
every system is about to serve people.
Hmm.
It's not about making them cocks.
Yes. Right. The other piece that I think that is part of, you know, just being a, you know, like a responsible fisherman too, is we're thinking about. I mean, I know that my son loves to fish, and he does catch and release, you know, and so He loves to catch them just to see their beauty, and then throw them back in the stream, so and take a picture. But when we think about,
I will interrupt you for a moment.
go ahead. Go ahead, Oleg.
This famous Scottish comedian Billy Connolly, in old days joke of him, and he said, "Look, I went with my father for trout fishing, and we were catching and releasing. And when he was a young boy, and he asked his father, why we are releasing fish? What's wrong? We're just like looking at it, letting it go." And his father responded, "I love fish panicking."
Fish panicking.
Yeah.
Yes, and so I think that there's a lesson there, though. I mean, as far as when we're thinking about responsibility in our environment. I mean, there's certain areas where fishermen love to go because there's such like a lot of large fish and so forth. But if we overfish that area, then we're not going to be able to enjoy it, or others may not be enjoying it. So I think that there's some lessons for leaders there that to be concerned about when we're looking at responsibility in the environment. And I know when I used to fish in Alaska, and it was really important to ensure that that Fish and Game they check how much fish are coming into the rivers and so forth, to make sure that there's we don't overdo it, overfish and so forth. I think that leadership should have the same type of perspective. What are your thoughts?
First of all, people polluting nature. Nature doesn't pollute people. Nature doesn't ruin people. We are ruining nature. Therefore, if we trying to get more out of people that we need, we are ruining them. If, as a leader, I'm always trying to push people to do something beyond their limits, what I will get at the end? I will get exhausted people who can't produce much because they're exhausted. They're overfished, right? And there is no harmony, no balance, and it's more or less pure exploiting. We will kill people, we'll kill river. It's the same analogy. And how much do we need? It's a fairly important question, because when we are fishing, catch and release is a great approach, thanks to someone who created this or invented or came up with this idea. Otherwise, it's very difficult to say enough. Because we're taking, but we're not putting anything back. As a leader, if I'm draining people energy for nothing, how I could restore that energy within people? So tomorrow they become exhausted, and they wouldn't be productive or creative.
I know, and that perseverance or thinking about the right balance for your people is important. But there's times where you have rough seas, right? So I think that you were in your book, you were talking about there's periods of time where you had to deal with seasickness and work through a storm and put in extra effort even when you don't want to work. I think there's some pieces there that leaders can learn from.
You see, this is a wisdom of a teamwork. Because you're not working because this is your job description or just duty. This is my role to do whatever is needed to guarantee, not just to do my best, but to guarantee that we'll come back through that horrible storm in one piece back into a harbor. And therefore, the teamwork, it's when you're on a trawlers, is an exceptional example of true teamwork. It's I'm responsible for everyone, and they feel the same way. It's not about, oh yeah, in one team, or just like teamwork, we're having fun together. We are codependent. Therefore, we are facing rough storms together. We are facing good catch or bad catch together. You see, when we are in our offices, we are getting paid salaries. So we hardly could justify how much value we have brought into that table. When you're working on the trawlers, you're getting shares. And therefore, the quality of my work will impact the overall outcome of the sales of that catch, of that fish that we will sell. Therefore, I will do my best in this sense. Therefore, my share would reflect how I have been working before. And this is fairly important. And therefore, whether do you like someone or not, you still must work together very tightly.
Right. But there's situations, Oleg, when a person that is supposed to be working suddenly becomes a passenger.
Oh,
On what should leaders do in this situation?
I do run trainings for companies on vision leadership, and a big part of it, or very serious part of it, is about establishing the visionary culture, corporate culture, which is really productive and allowing people to grow. And the first thing first is asking, how many passengers would you think you have on board? Be realistic. And usually my audience is senior executives, and they're saying, oh, no, no, no. I say, okay, can you put on a piece of paper exactly how many people in your department or in your branch, whatever, are not very productive, those passengers? Because passengers coming, they don't want to work. They want to be entertained. They're coming with the largest spoon, right? They're coming to the lunch first, and they're leaving last. So more or less, they want to be. Sumit, I love that comment. But actually,
Throw them over there. Use them for bait.
for instance, and this is real case, when someone said, look, I love them all, but about 40%, if I'm realistic, are passengers. Someone is coming like 15% of his or her staff are passengers. Therefore, when you're at sea, you don't have a food supply for these people. You don't have enough spare bunks in the cabins for these passengers. You need all of us to be productive. And I just asked this gentleman, I said, okay, if you will get rid of those 40 people, would you employ more instead of those passengers? He said, no. Those remaining 60% will do the same work with the same outcome, but they will be much more productive because those 40% are troubling those guys because they're interfering their work. They are undermining their loyalty and performance. They are not involved. So more or less, you're getting rid of the dead weight.
Yeah. Yes. In making sure that everybody's doing their contribution, in the organization. Right?
Yeah, they're like parasites. They just eat. They bring nothing, and they're not helping a digestion.
So Oleg, and as we are looking into this new year, and the world has been very unstable, very volatile over the past few years. What do you think is on top of leaders' minds right now as they enter this new year?
I would think there are three common issues for majority of leaders, regardless of the country where they conduct their businesses. People have a big lack of clarity. They don't understand what to do, what's coming. Therefore, it's too much noise, and because therefore they're focusing on short-term goals instead of like really great vision, creating something for the future. So more or less, it was said many times that we're living in the times of the highest pace of change that humanity ever faced before. Therefore, that chaos causes, it blinds people. People don't see what to do. Therefore, no clarity. Therefore, they need that clarity. Another very important aspect is many companies or leaders have a strong sense of hitting a glass ceiling. They trying to do their best to improve performance, get into new markets, but they're still in the same position again and again. So more or less, like hamsters in a wheel, repeating the same old mistakes. The performance level is fairly high, but the outcome is not there. Therefore, it's all about what we could do beyond our traditional or convenient thinking. But it's all about very important aspect. I believe that majority of large companies, and we have done a bit of a research with my colleagues on this, would go boost very shortly because of an old mindset.
Yeah.
It's not about that we are in 2025, but it's about you can't catch different fish. We're talking about smart Atlantic salmon with the same mindset. You must find an approach or think differently for every fish that you are casting for. The same, we have got in 2025 with a lot of hopes. And didn't hear yet that we came into 2025 with a new mindset. Therefore, we would be repeating the same things that we did in 2024, in 2023, and so forth.
And so, what can leaders? Oh, go ahead.
Mindset that is about the future. Think fell through the glass ceiling and get your clarity. If you're not clear, if you're trying to hit the same level, and if you're not thinking you will be where you are now. Not for a long while.
Right. So Oleg, as we come to the top of our time here, I mean, what are the big things that you're working on this year that you're trying to move forward in your business?
Well, I'm still expanding my business, and the demand for visionary thinking is getting greater because people need solutions for tomorrow. They need to, because, I had a conversation with one of my friends who is a well-known philosopher, and I just was, teasing him. I said, it was a conversation why philosophers are paid less than leadership experts. They do a lot of, brain work. I said, because you're coming with solutions for yesterday. I'm coming with solutions for tomorrow. Who will pay for yesterday? It's gone.
No way.
Yeah, and therefore, visionary thinking, leadership, visionary thinking becomes more and more demanding. And it's never a mass product. Actually, leadership is not a mass product. It's always about being involved with every team member. It's like you can't be a father of your family without talking or being involved with every family member. This is the same. You must find a time for everyone. Therefore, I believe that 2025 will be quite demanding in this sense for me in terms of business.
Well, it's a good thing. So as we conclude here today, Oleg, what would you like leaders to remember from this conversation?
One of the great challenges for many leaders is ability to draw lessons from their previous experiences. If you can't gain lessons, you're building your future on the same scenario. It's like building a castle on a quicksand.
Yeah.
What beginning of the year is a great moment when you could say, right, what I have learned from the last year, and just write a few bullet points. I have learned this. I have learned this, and that allows me to jump further.
Wise words. Well, thank you so much, Oleg, for joining us today on the People Strategy Forum. It was a great conversation. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes.
Sam, Sumit, Howard, thank you very much.
Thank you, Oleg.
Thank you.
All right. And to all those listening in, we'll see you next week on the People Strategy Forum. Take care,
Bye.
everyone.
Thank you.